All right, hello. So this video is going to be on the details of cellular respiration, a process that we've been studying in class the last few days. And this is going to break down exactly what happens during cellular respiration. So follow along in topic 3. And as I mention each of those major important terms, make sure you write down its role or importance, and then later come up with a way to remember it. So just as a review, there are 3 steps in cellular respiration. The first is called glycolysis. The second is called the citric acid cycle. And the third is called electron transport. All right. So the first step of this we're going to focus on is glycolysis. Before we get into details, I just want to go over a little something about how ATP is made. ATP, as you remember, ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Right? And adenosine, the blue molecules, and then 3 phosphates. Now you might notice here that this molecule only has 2 phosphates on it, and the other one's broken off. This is a molecule called ADP. It stands for adenosine diphosphate. Doesn't have as much energy. Right? This molecule here is called ATP. Notice it has 1, 2, 3 phosphates on it. Now to get from here to here, what happens is you have to spend energy to force this phosphate on, like that. And that makes ATP. So just keep that in mind as we go through these steps. Okay, so first step of cellular respiration is glycolysis. During glycolysis, you start with a molecule of glucose. This is glucose. Notice it's got 6 carbons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's got 6 carbons, and these little yellow things on it are electrons. Oops. Now these electrons give the glucose a lot of energy. During the first step of glycolysis, of respiration, called glycolysis, glucose is split apart into 2 halves. Right? So you can remember this because of the name. Glyco is short for glucose. Lysis means to split. Glycolysis, splitting of glucose. It's split in half. Now, the energy released when this is split in half is enough to take an ADP and force a phosphate onto it. Like that. So you now have a molecule of ATP. Right. The next thing that happens in this step is that these molecules, called NAD+, come in and steal electrons from glucose after it's been broken apart. So the key to remember here is that these electrons, when they're around glucose, have a lot of energy in them. So this molecule, NAD+, comes in and takes that energy stored in these electrons away. When they do, it becomes what's called NADH. So, once again, the difference, NAD plus has no electrons, NADH has those electrons. And this now has a lot of energy. Okay? Now this NADH takes those electrons and carries them into the mitochondrion, right over here. And we're going to put that on hold and wait and see what happens with those in a little bit. And all of these electrons get stripped away by NAD+ and taken into the mitochondrion.